They don't give a fuck, so I don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck, so I don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck, so I don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck, so I don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck, so I don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck, so I don't give a fuck.
Moving through the LA streets with the homeboy, tipping in the toy, having chips ahoy, cookies, and these rookies still can't see us. A lot of people wanna be us cause we's the OGs. Real east side riders from the hood, and I wish niggas would come at me like it's all good. If y'all could, you probably do the same thing. Rap, slang, dope, pimp, hoes, or gang bang. And it's a goddamn shame, but now the babies is the ones blew down and flamed up, sagging with their neighborhood flag inside their pockets.
9/20/21. It is a Monday, and I just want to welcome you to the show. I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time because I know a lot of stuff is going on. Today, the Darren Chauvin case has started, and there is a big misconception out there that this is the George Floyd case. This is not the George Floyd case, okay? It's not. This case is about the killer, Chauvin. It's his case, the white police officer that killed George Floyd. So let's kind of get this thing situated. People say, well, that's just, little schematics. No, it's not. It's not schematics because you got to know what's going on. So the case opened today. There was some really, really good testimony, and I want to share with you guys some of the tips about it because you guys are going to be looking at regular media. If you saw up there, the courthouse is surrounded like a damn fortress. And we know as black people that when something like that is surrounded like a fortress, it might not be the outcome that you would think we would expect, okay? We've been disappointed by this justice system over and over and over again. The five-star general from the war zone, he is actually at ground zero there in Minneapolis. So we are going to get somebody who is actually there. And, he's going to, every week, we just got done doing the show. And he's going to give us a play-by-play. We're going to give you guys our opinions about it and what we think. Now, the first witness that they called was the dispatcher, and she had some really good things that she wanted to say. For some reason, a woman who's been on the job for, I think she said 7 to 8 years as a dispatcher, she figured something was wrong, okay? And she called for the supervisor to go check it out, and it's compelling. Now, I love law, I love history. I took law while I was in college, didn't get a law degree, got an aeronautics degree. I need to go back and get a law degree, but I'm on my 12th degree, so I'm not even concerned about that. But my specialty is aeronautics. That's what I do. So she figured something was wrong, and it's just going to be interesting. Now, if you guys have been watching the news and some of the analysts that they have on the show, there's a not a young lady, but there's a lady named Sergeant Dorsey. And she is a career LAPD officer. She's a sergeant. She wrote the book Black and Blue. If you have not read that, her name is Cheryl Dorsey. She's also here on Facebook. And, she comes on as a contributing person on the different shows, CNN, MSNBC, and all these different shows, Court TV especially. Very pretty lady, by the way. And, she tells it like it is as a police officer and what is actually going on and what should be done. And she made a very good comment. Like, when it comes to training, once a suspect is put in handcuffs, there is no need from that point forward for police officers to use force because that person has been subdued. So with George Floyd, with his handcuffed, what was the need for everything else that took place? It just doesn't make sense. And then another thing that was brought up in the case today, just starting, was the fact that if you saw the video, one thing is seeing the video is horrific. It's listening to the video. And one thing that I tuned in on was the bystanders. And one of the bystanders I think is very, very critical. he was a part-time security guard, but he's an MMA fighter. And as we know in MMA, there's a lot of chokeouts that happen. So this guy is basically an expert at what was happening to George Floyd, and he was pointing out what they were doing. Also, one of the witnesses was an off-duty paramedic or EMS person, and she was telling them what they needed to do. She even tried to help and render, help to this person. And they're you got all of these people telling the police officers, get off of this man, he's unconscious, something's wrong. And the police officers did not relent. So I don't see how you can say you feared for your life or your defense and all this other stuff when you had 9 minutes and 29 seconds to do something about the situation. The man was in handcuffs from the time that you got him on the ground. There's no need for any more force. But we keep telling you guys about white supremacy. We keep telling you guys about what they do to us. So I don't want to keep too much time here. I just want to share this with you guys real quick and give you guys quick updates. Please check out the War Zone. We're going to be talking about this case a little bit every day as it goes on, and we're going to render our opinions. Please do not forget to check out Demetra Kay. She's on the African Diaspora news channel, as well as the African Diaspora Informer. Check that out. She also has the Demetra Kay Show and the War Zone with the 5-Star General as well. And please don't forget to check out Free Flow Fridays. You're going to see me on the show, and please tune into my podcast and my show, The Donovan Sadiq Show. You guys have a great day. Be safe. Wear your mask. If you got to get your vaccine, get your vaccines and do what you got to do. But please, I know a lot of my friends who are on the other side, they don't want to see the case. They don't want to hear about the case. They don't care about the case. And this is where we're at in America. The divide in America is just getting wider and wider and wider until we start addressing systematic racism toward black people. Okay? I am very systematic and sympathetic to my Asian friends and brothers and sisters out there as well. I'm very sympathetic. As a matter of fact, there was a city councilman, Asian guy, who served in the Army, retired from the Army, and he showed the scars that he has given for this country. But the fact of the matter is, black people are not attacking Asians as the narrative the national news media is trying to put out there. That is not true. Do not believe that hype. Number one, it doesn't make sense because we are their number one customers. And if that is the narrative and if that is what's true, I'm going to tell black people, if this narrative is true, stop shopping in these Asian stores and shops. Black women, keep your asses out of these shops if this narrative is true. Nobody deserves to be assaulted or whatever, but we all know. I don't know why why does everybody come here and want to shit on black people? I will never understand that. If it wasn't for black people, a lot of these different groups that are here now from the 60s would not be here if it wasn't for black people getting you here and opening the door for you. But they come here and they shit on us. And I'm not saying everybody, okay? This is not an everybody type show. So please, if it doesn't apply, let it on by. But the fact of the matter is, that makes sense from that perspective. It doesn't make sense since we are their customers. That doesn't make sense. And the absolute fact is, every time that they are catching people assaulting Asians, it's a white guy. It's always a white guy. So let's just stop with the bullshit, okay? Let's just stop with the bullshit. But if this narrative is true, black people, stop shopping at these Asian stores. Stop giving them your money. And I think the narrative will change when we start doing that, okay? But check out this video. So for those of you guys that didn't get a chance to see the thing, it was very compelling. This is going to be a very interesting case. But I think we kind of already know the outcome. These courts need to stop letting the civil trial go before the criminal trial. It does, I believe it does have some influence. I'm Donovan Sadiq. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys have a great day. And again, black first.
Next, newly released police body cam video showing the last minutes of George Floyd's life as seen by former officer Tu Tao. We have seen Officer Tao in videos shot by witnesses, and tonight we see his view of those bystanders, including their growing agitation as Floyd called for help and finally stopped breathing. ABC's Alex Perez with this new video and a warning: it is difficult to watch.
Tonight, former Minneapolis cop Tu Tao's defense team arguing Tao's body cam video proves he shouldn't face charges in the killing of George Floyd.
Don't touch me.
We've seen Tao in images shot by bystanders, but this new video filed in court shows Tao's camera as he tries to corral the growing crowd onto the sidewalk.
Those his hats out.
That's
Stop it, he's breathing right now, bro. You think that's cool? You think that's cool, though, right?
The gathering public appearing shocked, concerned about the other officers restraining Floyd until he lost consciousness and later died.
You can't even look at me like a man because you a bum, bro. He's not even resisting arrest right now, bro.
Those his hats out.
Some 9 minutes in,
Back off!
Tao confronting a bystander who identified herself as an off-duty firefighter and desperately wanted to help.
He's not responsive right now, bro. You're definitely a bum,
Tell me
bro.
what it is. Tell me what his pulse is right now.
Check the pulse.
The fact that you guys are checking his pulse and doing compressions if he needs them, you guys are on it up the
Tao's attorney also submitted the officer's interview with investigators.
They're saying, yeah, get off him, get off his neck, you know, look at him.
Suggesting what?
Check
to
on
you?
him. Yeah.
Check on him? Did you do that?
That was not my job.
Okay.
You will learn what happened in that 9 minutes and 29 seconds. The most important numbers you will hear in this trial are 929. May 25th of 2020, Mr. Derek Chauvin betrayed this badge when he used excessive and unreasonable force upon the body of Mr. George Floyd. You will learn that he was well aware that Mr. Floyd was unarmed, that Mr. Floyd had not threatened anyone, that Mr. Floyd was in handcuffs, he was completely in the control of the police, he was defenseless. We're going to ask at the end of this case that you find Mr. Chauvin guilty for his excessive use of force against George Floyd that was an assault that contributed to taking his life, and for engaging in eminently dangerous behavior, putting the knee on the neck, the knee on the back for 9 minutes and 29 seconds without regard for Mr. Floyd's life. We're going to ask that you find him guilty of murder in the second degree, murder in the third degree, and second-degree manslaughter.
And this will ultimately be another significant battle in this trial. What was Mr. Floyd's actual cause of death? The evidence will show that Mr. Floyd died of a cardiac arrhythmia that occurred as a result of hypertension, his coronary disease, the ingestion of methamphetamine and fentanyl, and the adrenaline flowing through his body, all of which acted to further compromise an already compromised heart. Dr. Baker found none of what are referred to as the telltale signs of asphyxiation. There were no bruises to Mr. Floyd's neck, either on his skin or after peeling his skin back to the muscles beneath. There was no petechial hemorrhaging. There was no evidence that Mr. Floyd's airflow was restricted, and he did not determine to be a positional or mechanical asphyxia death. When you review the actual evidence, and when you hear the law and apply reason and common sense, there will only be one just verdict, and that is to find Mr. Chauvin not guilty.
My instincts were telling me that something's wrong. Something is not right. I don't know what, but something wasn't right.
In what ways were you thinking that something was not right?
It was an extended period of time. Again, I can't tell you the exact amount of time. And they hadn't told me if they needed any more resources. It's a multitude of different things that ran through my brain.
About your call As you sit here today, have you changed your mind about the reasons why you called Sergeant Pleager when you did?
No.
On May 25th, 2020, George Floyd, a 46-year-old black man, died during an encounter with Minneapolis police officers.
Are you serious? He's gonna just let him sit there with that on his neck, bro?
A viral Facebook video showed Officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes. It sparked protests across the U.S. and beyond.
Police lined the streets, throwing tear gas and non-lethal projectiles to disperse crowds.
Calls for defunding the police and some incidents of unrest followed. 4 officers were ultimately charged in Floyd's death, including Chauvin. He was fired from the police department and faces 3 charges: second-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter, and a third-degree murder charge. The trial is being held in Minneapolis, 4 miles away from the intersection where George Floyd died. Assistant Attorney General of Minnesota Matthew Frank is leading the prosecution's case. They will likely show the bystander video in which Chauvin is pressing his knee on Floyd's neck, and other body cam footage from the other 3 officers at the scene. The judge will also allow the state to introduce evidence from 2 prior incidents, one from 2015 and one from 2017, as examples of incidents where the prosecution will argue that Chauvin used questionable methods of restraint with the suspect. Chauvin's attorney is Eric J. Nelson, a criminal defense attorney provided by the Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association. The defense team will argue that Chauvin used reasonable and authorized force. Their strategy is also likely to include contesting the medical examiner's declared cause of death.
The medical examiner has opined that the cause of death was cardiopulmonary arrest, complicating law enforcement's subdual, restraint, and neck compression. The defense expert, Dr. Fowler, has opined that the cause of death was cardiac arrhythmia due to arteriosclerotic and hypertensive cardiovascular disease during restraint by police.
During jury selection, the defense attorney sought to include testimony related to Floyd's 2019 arrest in order to establish a pattern of his behavior with police. Judge Peter Cahill ruled that only certain elements of that prior incident would be admissible. Judge Cahill, who has been on the bench since 2007, made several other key rulings during jury selection. He rejected a motion from the defense to move the trial to a different county and to delay proceedings, citing that the case had already received widespread publicity.
I don't think there's any place in the state of Minnesota that has not been subjected to extreme amounts of publicity on this case.
The city of Minneapolis agreed today to pay $27 million to Floyd's family to settle a civil lawsuit for his death last May.
Cahill also unseated 2 jurors after they said the city's $27 million settlement with Floyd's family would impact their decision-making. Of the 15 seated jurors, 9 are white, 4 are black, 2 are multiracial, and 9 of 15 are women. The Hennepin County Government Center has been fortified with new fencing and barbed wire, and some National Guard units have been deployed to guard the courthouse area. The trial is estimated to last 4 weeks, with jury deliberations to follow, and arrives just shy of a year after Floyd's death.
They don't give a fuck, so I don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck, so I don't give a fuck.
With the homeboy, tipping in the toy, having chips ahoy, cookies, and these rookies still can't see us. A lot of people wanna be us, cause we's the OGs. Real East Side rock.